Hi everyone, Casey Durango here with, hi everyone, Casey Durango here with Go Keto with Casey. I like to talk about the ketogenic diet, the impact it's had on my life, and how others might be able to lose weight and improve their health and regain control of their lives. I'm in my back garden, and I don't know whether you can see it or not, but my pond is here, which I find a very relaxing place to be. There are a couple of waterfalls and looking at the fishes. So today we are going to be talking about some questions that I think maybe many of you have had at one time or another, and maybe you continue to have, or maybe you are asked when people find out you're doing the ketogenic diet. Heads up, this is a live broadcast. If you do not enjoy watching live broadcasts in replay, you might want to move on to another video. And thank you for everyone who's showing up. But lots of people popping in. Hey, Karen from Alaska, so glad you could make it. And I know you're close to retirement, so congratulations on that. Your time will be more your own. So here are a couple of the topics, or just the questions that come up. Things like, is there a good meal plan to follow? What are recipes, ideas? What are good resources for trying to figure out what's up with the ketogenic or the low carb, high fat diet? And I'll just share with you those resources to which I went when I was learning and experimenting with foods and everything else. For foods, there are many, many good sources, lots of recipe places. You do want to be careful. I'm going to say that some of the sites might be kind of cashing in literally on the low carb ketogenic name, but some of the recipes are maybe not so much. Keep in mind that if you are following a ketogenic diet and you're trying to get your body into burning ketones for fuel, fat, rather than glucose, sugar, you need to reduce your carbohydrate intake sufficiently so that your liver is not producing glucose, to which your pancreas has to respond. So if you are trying to kind of fake your body out by using replacement flours, it may not work for you. If it does, great. But it doesn't for me, and it may not for others. So be careful of those recipe sites that are really trying to just substitute wheat flour for alternative flours, but which may not serve your purposes. A source that I do recommend is Linda's Low Carb. I have used many recipes from there. It's very analog. It's all just recipes and menus and still photographs. It's not highfalutin. And it's an old site. I think it dates back to the early 90s. So it was more low carb and kind of geared towards the original Atkins. If you look at her recipes, those that are tagged with an asterisk means that they are induction friendly. And that's essentially what the ketogenic diet is. It's essentially the induction period of the original Atkins, which was the first 2 weeks of keeping your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. So I have just looked at those recipes and tweaked them to my family's, and at this point, my husband and I, our preferences. If she calls for beef, I might use chicken. If she calls for Gruyere cheese, I might use shredded mozzarella because that's what I have on hand. But I really highly recommend it. Easy to follow, and tons of not only recipes, but like an entire week's worth of meals. 3 options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the way around. So I highly recommend it. Oh, Diane, thank you. Super chat, $2 super chat. I appreciate that very much. Okay, and excuse me, I see Denise. Can you guys not see me or hear me? Did I do it again? Hold, please. Edit, public, started, should be fine. View on watch page. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me and see me? I'm not on mute. You can hear. Okay, thank you. Don't know what's going on. And I'm sorry for the distraction. It's always a technological experience doing these. Okay. So Linda's Low Carb. If you Google it, it'll come up. I really highly recommend it. Simple, straightforward, informative. As far as resources for the basics on how to do this, Dr. Westman's white coat video, Dr. Eric Westman's white coat video, and I'm putting links below this video for these things I'm mentioning. Dr. Westman's video is so approachable and so simple. You know, if it's not on the food list, don't eat it. Keep your carbs below 20. Don't worry about counting carbs. And you'll notice other words that do not come up in his instructions. The M word, or measuring anything other than making sure you keep your carbohydrate low. If you want more science, I would recommend highly The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living and The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance, both written by Drs. Stephen Phinney and Jeff Volek. I went to those resources when I wanted to know the why of the ketogenic diet working. The basics tell you the how, but I wanted to know the why. I have an inquiring mind, can't help it. And it's approachable, it's a little sciencey. These two books are a little sciencey, but you can get through it. And it will explain that we're not crazy. We were not crazy when we were trying to do low fat and move more, eat less, and it wasn't working. We weren't crazy. The advice was crazy and bad. So I recommend those. Okay, so that's kind of the basics on some good resources. And then I want to talk about the tools. And I'm moving kind of quickly because we've talked about these before, but I believe these points bear repeating. As more and more people are coming into wanting to find out about the ketogenic diet, what do you have to buy for the ketogenic diet? I bet you anyone within the sound of my voice can answer that question. What do you need to buy? What do you need to have on hand to follow the ketogenic diet properly? Nothing. It's food. You don't have to buy anything. Food. Just the right food. You don't need any pills, potions, or powders. You don't need any special devices. You don't need any special apps. Some of these are good tools if you want to measure things. But as far as making the diet work for you, it's just food. So tools that I incorporated in my life to help me be successful were, at first I got the keto sticks. It's the Bear brand name of urine sticks. There's a lot of noise out there saying that they're useless, don't work, once you get into ketosis, they stop working. As Dwight Schrute would say, false. For some people, sometimes the acetoacetate can be reabsorbed after you've been in ketosis for quite a while and may not show on the keto sticks. I've been in ketosis for over 3.5 years, and the keto sticks still work for me. Same thing for my husband. If you don't want to use them, don't. You don't need to. But they're a good tool to help you find out, have you reduced your carbohydrate intake sufficiently so that you're now burning ketones for fuel? That's all you want to know. I want to burn ketones for fuel, not glucose. And it's not a matter of degree. You don't have to be in the dark purple to be successful. It really is like the pregnancy test. You either is or you ain't. So lightest pink to darkest purple, you're in ketosis. Researchers still use the keto sticks. So question when you're told they're useless, throw them away. If they're useless, then why are diabetics still using them to measure whether, if ketone bodies are being produced? Type 1 diabetics. Another tool that you can use is a blood monitor. I've used the Precision Extra, which is not particularly expensive itself. The strips and blood is still the gold standard for measuring for ketosis. Are a little bit pricey. There's a new product coming out. I have mine on order, and I'll be doing a review of it when it's delivered in mid-September. But that's the gold standard. Again, you don't need it. So how do you know if you're in ketosis? Well, the first thing is you realize you kind of lost your appetite. If you're doing this properly, reducing your carbs sufficiently so that you're not pumping out glucose and you're burning fat for fuel and you're burning your body fat, you realize, man, I'm not hungry. I don't have much of an appetite left. That's the best guide right there. You don't have to worry about smelling your pee. I mean, you can if you want to, if that's your thing. No judgment. You don't have to worry about, measuring how bad your breath is. I mean, they're kind of telltale signs, but really ask yourself if you're hungry. Are you satisfied a little bit more than you would be previously? And this doesn't have to take a long time. This can take about a week, maybe not even that long. So tools are okay. There's no requirement. What I did was I started off with the keto sticks. Then I wanted to know more precisely. So I got the blood monitor and I started measuring my blood ketones. And I don't measure very often anymore because I'm always in ketosis. And I know I'm in ketosis. So I don't measure unless something weird is going on. If I'm feeling a little differently, if something odd happens on the scale, unexpected happens on the scale, one way or the other. So there you go. Now, moving on. I'm going at a very fast clip today, aren't I? Aren't you proud? Get out my list here. Okay. What does it mean to be keto or fat adapted? This is another catchphrase that's caught on, and people are kind of talking into their video cameras or writing, in all caps on their articles or blog posts. It doesn't matter whether you're in ketosis, you need to be fat adapted. Keto adapted. What does that mean? It really is not a matter of degree. It's just a matter of length of time. You can be in ketosis, but you've just been there for a little bit and you're kind of on the borderline and you have to keep on it. Once you've been in ketosis for quite a while, your body's probably fat adapted. You're burning fat for fuel happily and fully. Other than the little bit of glucose that your brain needs, and your body can make that itself. So don't stress whether am I fat adapted or if I'm just in ketosis. Let's put it this way. You're not going to be fat adapted if you're not in ketosis, right? Doesn't make any sense. So don't overthink that. Stick in ketosis. Keep your carbs low. Eat fatty sources of protein. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you're satiated. And don't worry about whether you're fat adapted. My goodness. So much stum and drunk. Okay, hair. Hair loss on the ketogenic diet. Hair loss can happen anytime you change your diet, anytime you change your nutrition protocol, anytime your body suffers a trauma, emotional or physical. And your hair can seem to all fall out at once because we shed hair in different quadrants and about every 18 months, and they're not all in the same cycle, and sometimes they all happen at the same time, and it seems like all your hair is falling out. Telogen effluvium is when your hair can shed more rapidly due to anything. Again, emotional trauma, physical trauma, change in nutrition. That's whether you go low fat, low carb. You don't want to go low protein. You want to do adequate protein. If you do notice your head shedding more hair, just go through it. It's just your body reacting to the change. Not unlike if you find that you feel kind of keto fluish, that is not the lack of carbs. That's probably the need for sodium as your minerals change. But you just keep an eye on it, but stick with it. You'll be okay. So my hair has gotten significantly shorter, I will say, since I started. But that's because Karen, I just tell her every time I go, I say, just do what you want, Karen. And she always wants it a little bit shorter. Alrighty. I've gotten several questions about my ginormous smartwatch. And I've even gotten suggestions that what's the point of getting cute clothes for my Stitch Fix if I'm going to wear this monstrosity on my wrist. Not that I don't appreciate the suggestions on my sartorial choices, but I wear this watch because it means a lot to me. This was a treat to myself after I'd lost about, I think, 35 pounds. And I was feeling, maybe 40, I was feeling pretty good. And I thought, I am going to just kill it exercising now. About 10 days ago, I started killing it exercise. And I got this about 3 years ago. But this means a lot to me. It's a way over the top Garmin 920 XT, designed really for triathletes. But I don't care whether it spoils an outfit or not. I don't care whether it's as big as my head. It means a lot to me. And I am at the stage of life and at the success in my life that the idea that other people have a little bit of an issue with my style choices, she don't bother me, that idea. But it's a Garmin 920 XT. I really like it. For the most part, it tells me my steps every day and how many I have to get the next day. So I have to keep getting steps, more and more steps, but I like it. And I can take it in the pool. I can do laps, which I've done. You can do it on an indoor track. You can use it on a treadmill, everything. It's cool. That's a question that comes up. Next question. Why is it that younger people can seem to get away with what some people call net carbs? It's frankly just higher carbs. Let's face it. People say, I do net carbs. They're just eating more carbs. There's nothing magical about fiber. There's not even really good evidence that fiber is not absorbed by all people, or that if it's not absorbed, that it doesn't. There's not good science on that. It's really just people wanting to eat higher carbs. And some people can tolerate that. Why would that be? Here's my thinking on it. And when I heard Dr. George Eade speak in San Diego a month or so ago, whenever it was, she used a phrase or described insulin resistance, which is when your body, after years of trying to regulate your blood sugar for you and using insulin to do it, finally just your body doesn't respond to the insulin anymore. Your blood sugar keeps going up, and that's insulin resistance. And she pointed out type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's, which some refer to as type 3 diabetes, is essentially the end game, the end product, the end terminus of type 2 of, insulin resistance. So what does that mean? In an analogy that I was thinking of is it's like a repetitive motion injury in your body. Just as young folks in their 20s, particularly fit people, might be able to pound their joints by running and jumping and rock climbing and doing parkour and things that, their joints can take it. But after some number of years, their joints start feeling differently. Why would that be? It's because it's the end product of constant stress to your body, in that case, joints. For those of us who are prone to insulin resistance earlier in life, as was I, it started in my mid-20s. Some people, that end game of decades of essentially your body ignoring the insulin, or being dealt with by insulin, and then it finally says, you know what, I can't, I'm not, you're on your own. Insulin says you're on your own. Please regulate your blood sugar yourself by changing your diet. It's that same thing. It's like the internal version of a repetitive motion injury. Same thing with cigarettes. You think you look pretty cool and cute smoking your cigarettes when you're 22. Doesn't look so cute when you're 48. But the damage to your body doesn't happen by the time you're 23 and a half. Same thing with drinking. I mean, any of these things that are essentially assaults to our body, and these are all assaults to our body, make no doubt that the way most of us were raised, carbohydrate-laden diets, and just switch the word carbohydrate for sugar, because that's all it is. By the time it comes out of your liver, it's a simple sugar. That complex whole grain Ezekiel bread that you have to get out of the freezer because it won't stick, is all, you can almost see the sprouts growing out of it, is simple sugar by the time it comes out of your liver. So what does that tell us? Sugar is the toxin, as is alcohol, as is tobacco, as is, some can tolerate all of these things better for longer periods of time. But that's why, one thing, don't compare yourself to a 25-year-old doing this. Don't compare yourself to yourself when you were 25. And don't compare yourself to someone who's not as sick as you are. ask yourself, are you feeling better? Is your appetite being suppressed? Do you find you have more energy? If you're not, maybe you can't do more carbs. And I'm not going to call it net carbs. It's just more carbs, right? It's just more carbs. That's all it is. It's like saying, I'm going to drink net wine. I'm going to make a special rule that I'm going to calculate some other component in wine, and all of a sudden make it magically not have as much alcohol. No, it's just what it is. It's just more. Like if I have 3 glasses of wine, but I say I'm only going to count 2. I'm calling it net glasses of wine. I can't think of how anyone could rationalize that, but same thing. So say you can do higher carbs. Cool. Maybe you're not as sick as I was. But don't think you may not be, because sometimes it just stops working. Many people have shared. They started out just cutting out wheat. Then they went to paleo. Then they went to keto. And they needed to do that each time. So that's why it just works differently for some people. That's why following one set of guidelines is ludicrous for any nutrition protocol. We're all too different. One set of guidelines just ain't going to cut it. And we have to stop looking to those guidelines. When we are intelligent people, we know if we don't feel well, if we eat a pizza by ourselves, we know we don't feel well. You know, our bodies have been trying to tell us something for a really long time. So use your own insights into your own body, and don't look at anyone else. And also, no one gets a vote on what you eat. You might be told often, I know I am, not by my family or friends, but by hopefully well-intentioned people scolding me about what I do or don't eat. No one gets a vote. Sorry, you don't get a vote on what I eat. I allowed that to happen for too long. No one gets a vote on what you eat. Whether it's good or bad, whether you want to eat an entire red velvet cake yourself, no one gets a vote. And if you want to go for 3 days without eating a vegetable, no one gets a vote. And I think that's about all I wanted to talk about today. I'm very lecture-y today. I hope no one is offended. Now I'm going to turn my attention to all you lovely folks who have shown up here. And thank you so much. So, okay, Karen writes, yep, I cut out sugar and flour in 2008, went to paleo in 2010, and happy at keto. Yeah, so Karen listened to her body. And it makes sense, you know, and you don't have to be in ketosis to lose weight. No duh, right? People do it on Weight Watchers. People do it on The Biggest Loser. Now, do people find it a way that they can continue for the rest of their lives? Some can, some cannot. And you can be in ketosis and not lose weight. Because if you're overeating dietary fat, now, let me clear this up, because when I say don't add dietary fat, that doesn't mean don't use coconut oil to saute your shrimp. That doesn't mean don't use reserve bacon fat, you know, to cook your liver or whatever it might be. Cooking with fats and oils, fine. Try to avoid seed oils, you know, not corn oil and canola oil and all that stuff. Use olive oil and coconut oil and lard. Added fats are, say it with me, fat bombs, MCT oil, all sorts of oils and fats in your liquids. Do it if you like it. Do it if it works for you. Do it if it fits in. But added fats are those fats. When I say no added fats, or, you know, watch the added fats, it's not the ones that come with your protein source. What does that mean? Chicken with the skin, eggs with the yolks, pork chops with a nice band of fat, marbled beef. Avoid lean meats, full fat cheese, full fat sour cream. If you can tolerate dairy, Don't overdo the cheese. Remember, allowed foods are not necessarily unlimited foods, right? Some of us have found that out the hard way with cheese. We love cheese. Elizabeth Shira, not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She writes, thank you, Casey. I relapsed for 2 days. Advice, please. Clean today, but lots of fat and whipped cream. Getting rid of it. Can't handle it, so I used myself as the garbage can. Clean today, but lots of fat and whipped cream. I'm not sure what you're asking, Elizabeth, but you know, if you fall out of ketosis, or that's what you're implying, adding a lot of fat is not going to get you back into ketosis. It's not the presence of fat, it's the absence of carbs. Now, if you're eating fat to satiate yourself so that you don't, you know, if you're afraid you're about to hit a tipping point and going the other way, then yeah, but adding fats doesn't get you into ketosis. Adding fats does not get you into ketosis. Okay? Doesn't work that way. Otherwise, well, anyway, I've made the point several times, so I will stop. Uh-oh, Kelly Lassen wrote something and retracted it. Nancy Hansen, fats do keep you satiated, but not a lot. Yeah, it's you know, if you've just got to use occupy your mouth with something, but try not to think that I have to eat a lot of fat. You know, the question comes up, how am I going to get in my calories, and how am I going to get in my fat? Don't do that. Don't get in those things. You don't get it in. Don't let MyFitnessPal bully you into thinking you need to eat X number of calories a day. Or to forget about the pie chart. Forget about the pie chart. One more time. Forget about the pie chart. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein, but eat only when you're hungry. And stop when you're satiated. Pamela, I've been overweight for 30 years and have never been able to consistently lose until now. Down 19 pounds by eating page 4, loving my keto lifestyle. Isn't it something? I was really, really heavy for 30 years. And, you know, I wish I'd known then what I know now, but I try not to second guess the universe. So I think if I needed to be really, really heavy for 30 years so that I could sit next to my pond and talk to all you lovely folks, then that was worth it, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I would have liked to have been petite all those years, I will say. Vicky G from Southeast Washington. I made fat bombs once, took one bite, tossed the whole thing out. Ugh. Also have a full bottle of MCT oil in the cabinet. Did BP Bulletproof Coffee before I knew better. Not anymore. I've done it. I have a video on, you know, what, butter in your coffee? I like Bulletproof Coffee. But it's not going to serve my purposes right now. When I get to the point where I no longer want to burn body fat, that's when you can, and your energy needs are still up, that's when you can add in dietary fat. You don't reintroduce carbs when you get to your ideal weight and body fat and body composition and everything. You add dietary fat. But that's because the fat that my body's eating now is my body fat. It's getting most of its, well, some of its energy needs from my body fat. Once I don't want to use these stores anymore, if my energy needs stay the same, meaning if I'm going to eat the same number of calories a day, where's that fat going to come from? So I might, you know, have a Bulletproof Coffee as a meal replacement or something like that. Alrighty, guys. Oh, and someone's mentioning Keto After 40 with Casey. That is an open group. Please, you guys, if you're adding friends or people trying to get in, you must answer the 3 questions. It's that simple. I'm just declining anyone that doesn't answer any of the questions, and I'm declining anyone that does not answer all 3 questions. But it is an open group. The more the merrier. Yeah, Laura Rothia writes, I think I need to revisit page 4, not losing. The other thing is, Laura, make sure you're not eating a lot of added fats. Eat only when you're hungry. It is so challenging. It's doable, but it's challenging to eat only when hungry, for real. it's just something so many of us have seriously not experienced in a lifetime of true hunger. Not the my brain needs more glucose hunger, so your brain telling you to eat more, but actual I'm empty, 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 empty. I'm hungry. It's a unique feeling for many of us. It's not an unpleasant feeling. My husband and our oldest child, our daughter, both very nice people, would get hangry back in the day because their brain was telling them to get more food because their blood glucose was dropping or the blood sugar was dropping, and they needed to eat. And it was like, ugh. And I think a lot of us have experienced that. They don't now. Well, I don't see my daughter on a daily basis, but my husband does not. He could be hungry and say, I don't feel like eating. That's a change of the for sure. Oh, when coming up? Okie dokie. Nancy Hansen, I am never hungry until about noon every day, so then I eat then around 7 p.m. I think that's very common and not unlike what I do. I eat 3 boiled eggs and a couple of tablespoons of pimento cheese heated up in the oven, in the microwave, and I eat that around noon. And after I'm finished here, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then I have a conference call, and then I have a patron one-on-one, and I'll probably call it a day. I might eat something else, but I might just have some cheese. Wanda Landers, it is so weird to see I have lost 100 pounds. Wanda, have you lost 100 pounds? Did I miss that? Wanda, did you lose 100 pounds? Bless you, sweetie. Congratulations. And I'm sorry if I missed that announcement. Roxanne Bennett, excuse me. Casey, what do you think about doing cleanses, and which ones have you tried and liked? I don't do cleanses. I don't. I'm not even sure what kind of cleanse that might be. I mean, I barely cleanse my kitchen cabinets, right? I'm just, that's a joke. No, my body takes care of itself now. Everything's running, humming along beautifully. I feel no need to upset my internal workings. So no, the best cleanse that I can tell you is getting carbohydrates out of my diet, and then just allowing everything else to balance out from there. And it pretty much has. Really, pretty much has. Money, can you please send my link for page 4? Send me the link for page 4. Money, if you look at my blog, it's under resources, and it's not page 4. That is to avoid controversy. I don't call it page 4. It's literally the list I followed from the time I started, which I gleaned from the white coat video. Nancy Hansen, my cleanse is getting rid of the sugar, wheat, and excess carbs. Exactly. That's precisely the cleanse I've done. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Vicki. Is it? I don't even remember putting the link down there. Good. Thank you. Wanda, wow, Wanda, that is stunning. And from someone who had given up, don't ever give up. Wanda, you are so inspiring. Wanda posts often on the Keto After 40 with Casey Facebook group, and she's always so positive and inspiring. I'm so glad you shared that, and congratulations. All right, guys, we're at right a little over half an hour, and I'm happy. If anyone has any specific questions they'd like to ask, and for a reminder, the Friday Pep Talk, because I've been asked, is now a patron-only thing, Friday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern time, for patrons who pledge at a certain level. And if you want to know more about that, go to patreon.com. Facebook Live on Saturdays at 11. I had to cancel this past Saturday because Facebook was terrible, and I couldn't get on, and the rest of my day was booked. So there's that. And people have asked about Patreon. It's not a sales pitch, but I do get asked about it. I think a link is below here as well. It's something where people can pledge, and then there's patron-only content. People can share with each other. There's a closed forum in there. Only patrons can post. They can post. I post things and live chats, and then group chats, group video chats, and one-on-ones, depending on what you do. All right, Dory Lamarco. Hey, Dory, speaking of patrons. Dr. Atkins said that the fiber in the food doesn't count and the carb count because it doesn't digest. Not good science on that, Dory. And Dr. Westman will say it's questionable at that. There's just not good science about it. So that's one of the places it came from. And I did do Atkins way back in the 70s. I did Atkins when I was in college. So that would have been 1977 was the year I started, which is not the earliest year there, but I'm very familiar with Atkins, and it worked for me. And I lost the 13 pounds I wanted to lose, and of course, because that worked, I totally immediately stopped. Dory, okay. Okay, yes, okay, you guys are talking back and forth. Okay, great. Okay, does anyone have a question? And I apologize for not being able to recognize everyone that pops in. I wish I could. Kay Cavazos. Okay, bye. See you, Kay. Thank you very much. Gayla Rodriguez. Hey, Kelly Lassen. Did you note any differences when you started him on the protocol? I'm moving my son to this way of eating to see if any improvement as he's on the autism spectrum. Wouldn't that be something? If nutrition could help the symptoms of autism, Down syndrome, other behavioral disorders, a lot of interesting research going on in the psychiatric field about the impact of nutrition on bipolar, on schizophrenia. Amazing. It's amazing. You know, jury's out. You know, don't start quoting things until some really good peer review science has come out, but it is amazing. Now, the reminder for those of you who can make it, a week from tomorrow in Durham, North Carolina will be the low carb keto support group meeting with Dr. Eric Westman. Will be there. I will be there. He talks from 6:30 to 8. It's at the Duke Hilton. Dadgummit, the Durham Hilton near Duke. There is a keto-friendly buffet. You're not obligated to buy. People can start eating about 5:45. And he just answers questions. And it's amazing. There will be a meetup in Greensboro, North Carolina on Monday, which is a week from today. I'll be posting information about that on my Go Keto with Casey Facebook page, my blog, and on Keto After 40 with Casey. So that'll be at 6 to 7:30, whatever, at a pancake house. What a hoot. So I'm looking forward to that. There will be Adapt bars, which are Dr. Westman's condoned, the only convenience foods, bars and things that he condones, and they're really convenience foods. They're not supposed to do anything other than help you be compliant with the program. Those will be available at both Durham and Greensboro. Justin writes, I wish I lived in North Carolina. I'd be there monthly. Yeah, Georgia Eat has a great deal of information, and I was really interested to hear her lecture in San Diego, specifically on Alzheimer's. All right, guys, let's say adios. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for all you patrons who show up and do just great. I love our community. It's turning into quite the place. I love our video chats together, and the group chats, they're great, and the Friday live stream. All right. 324 GG asks, would you consider coming to New York City? There is talk of taking it on the road, taking the show on the road. We'll see what happens with that. That would be awesome. If you can get us there, or you can get us a place to talk, particularly a medical arena. If there's a medical center or a meeting of doctors that you think would be open-minded to hearing a speech from Dr. Westman and myself, him on the medical, me on the human, let us know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Everyone's saying thank you, and I'm saying thank you. Kimmy, how are you doing, sweetie? Are we feeling better? I hope we are. Okay, guys. Okay, Denise asked any news on the cruise. I did speak with had a communication with the cruise, the travel person. It got a lot of stuff that has to go on behind the scenes, but to answer your question, no, there's no firm plan, no firm date or anything yet for a Go Keto with Casey cruise. I do think we could get some people, Dr. Westman, Jackie Epperstein, if we can work it out, I think they would be on board, literally and figuratively. Okay, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, adios, ciao, ciao bella, dos vidania. See you later, alligator.